What's up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages? It's that 7:30 hour, and you know what time it is. It's time for Relentless Weeb, the show where we talk about everything anime, everything that relates to the anime world, nerdy stuff. That's where we are. We're your hosts, Shelby McWeeb and Andrew J. Landy. Shelby, checking in. How are you this fine evening?
I'm doing great. We've had a little bit of a break from cons, which makes this episode's topic really special. We're going to talk about conventions all over the country. But first, our guest, MarzGurl.
Hi, how's it going? Thank you for having me here. I'm super excited to be here. This place is awesome. I just want you to know. I think this whole setup is super cool.
Thank you.
Right on. So, folks, remember, you know the drill. While we do this, you've sat down, you got your tasty beverage. You might be sitting down to have a nice meal. Get that link, share it out, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, MySpace, if you've got a Zonga or a LiveJournal, even Tumblr at times.
Throwing it back.
Exactly. Gaia Online even. So please, folks, make sure you do your best. Share the stream out. Again, this is an interactive stream, so we want to hear from you guys about the topics that we're talking about. Let us know that you're also in the chat, and hey, we'll give you a shout out. So we'll see you here. I do see already Sean Chongumeda and Mandy Akendo are in here. So what's up to the two of you? So hey, this is gonna be a fun night. Oh, so Shelby, are we ready?
Yes. What's the weirdest obscure social media you can think of from like your youth? I'm thinking of Habba Hotel.
Oh, Habba Hotel. Oh, man.
What?
I don't know if you would say this is obscure, but Gaia Online.
Gaia Online.
Just such a powerhouse in the day, and kind of not so much now.
Yeah,
It back.
I still want to see if I can log into my old account and see how, like, if I have accrued credits or if, even my old avatar is still there.
I
Or
would resell everything for a bundle.
that, or
Everything is so old. I bet it's like gone up in stock. I want to like log into Gaia just to sell my old stock.
Watch it be worth absolutely nothing.
I just want to see if my account got hacked. That'd be, I would not be surprised. Somebody could have cracked the simple passwords you used back then.
Of course.
Right.
There's also like I bet my Neopets have like
Oh
hit it
no,
big, yeah.
they're not doing so hot at
No,
this
they're
point.
probably did.
All right. By the way, checking in, Brianna DeCoster has joined in. What's going on to Brianna DeCoster? Okay, so our main focus tonight, again, conventions and talking about the convention world. Now, in previous iterations of the show, you guys have heard us talk about both Shelby's and my experience in conventions, but now we have a third element because MarzGurl over here has been a staple of where primarily?
Do you want to tell us a little bit about your career and yourself before we go
Sure.
into that?
That's a good point,
So,
actually.
conventions are where I started like filming things in the first place. So it's definitely a good place to start off. But I eventually got into reviewing different media for a brief amount of time. Brief being 9 years. I was with Channel Awesome, where I was reviewing a lot of TV shows and movies and such, and that included anime. To this day, to an extent, it includes anime. So that's on YouTube, on Twitch. Those are things I still occasionally do. And I also write closed captions. I just started freelancing for actually some recent anime. So that's super fun, writing closed captions. But yeah, as far as conventions are concerned, I was born out here in California, but I was raised primarily in Texas.
Texas, okay. Wow.
Spent the majority of my time in Texas, and Texas conventions, they're kind of their own different breed of con, right?
Really?
In comparison to SoCal, I feel like there's so much that's the same and yet such a different atmosphere at the same time. I don't know how easy that is to explain other than SoCal is just so packed full of people, and so you get so many really small conventions in Texas that people are just really excited. Hey, we got one!
Oh, we got a chance to go to something, right?
Yeah, exactly. Especially in these little pockets of Texas Hill Country where there's not a whole lot of people, because otherwise you're driving to Dallas, San Antonio, Houston. I know the drive. I grew up outside of San Antonio. I eventually moved to San Antonio, and the drive between San Antonio and Dallas is 5 hours.
Oh, wow.
But you would do that to go to places like Akon, like, yeah, this is just what we do. This is normal to drive 5 hours to go to an event. Whereas, I've come out here now, and it's like every single weekend there's at least some small little something.
Right. Some sort of like small little gathering that's at least, if not a big convention.
Exactly,
Is that how it
yeah.
feels? So there's not really like any crazy event saturation in Texas.
There would from time to time be what felt like event saturation, right?
Okay.
So, but what we considered event saturation was having like 3 different cons in one city, and not even necessarily like back-to-back weekends, although they would start to compete with each other for similar weekends, and then it was like, all right, now we got to start to pick. Like conventions, I think, as a whole across the country, especially over the last 10 years, everybody has decided we need to make one. And I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with that, mind you. I think that's fantastic for people who are like, oh, I've never been able to get to one. But when you're talking about in the same city, then it starts to get to be too much.
I was definitely thinking about that today because I grew up in Maine, and that's where PortCon is.
Oh,
and a part of the group PortCon, and this one person was like, "There's my favorite band will be in concert the same weekend as PortCon. I can't miss PortCon though." And it was just crazy to think about. Like we get one con a year in Maine. There's 2 cons a year in Maine, but like PortCon's the big one. So it's like it's so crazy to think about not like missing a con and then missing a con for the whole year, because if it's a con, I just have to wait a week and there's a new con here in Los Angeles. So like that's a really cool thing to think about, is like on the East Coast they're a lot less saturated, so it kind of goes into like what's the experience like wherever you grow up, wherever you live, and wherever you are currently, if that makes sense. And prior, like in 2005, there were much less cons, whereas even like a year ago, there was much less cons. Yeah. This year, I can think of like 12 off the top of my head in driving distance.
This has been really intimidating for me, because I just see I just see Facebook events that are like con this weekend, and I'm like, I kind of would like to visit all of them, but that's also really irrational. I can't be spending my money on a badge for every single one of these events, but I want to see, well, what is the flavor like out here? And again, it's very similar, but also very different in a lot of ways. The cosplay scene is just impressive. It's phenomenal. Granted, in pockets like Houston and Dallas, you get, so long as you're going to big events, really impressive cosplay scenes out there too, but you have to go to the right events at the right time. But almost all the time out here, you just feel like you're in this sea of really impressive cosplay that, like, oh, you can't even hardly compare to these people. Well, which is great though, because there's so many creative people out here. It's amazing.
And there's so many ways to cosplay too, and that's different at every con you go to.
This is true.
The process is just so different, and there's so many amazing people at every event. I grew up in the East Coast, so a lot of my experiences with East Coast cons, and even the newer ones, but I grew up when it was very, very, very saturated. 1 con a year if you're lucky. And then now there's a lot more, but it's still, the East Coast has like much less cons than the West Coast. But I know that you told me that Texas is really big and the South is really big for cons too.
Oh yeah. Texas is its own con circuit, Like,
all right.
It's I remember at my peak, I think I went to like 9 cons in a year, just traveling around. And Texas is so big, and I just wasn't thinking anything of it. I just dumped way too much money into attending all these different events, and then the driving distance and the hotel. Like San Antonio eventually got some. I think San Antonio was considered a slightly lamer pocket for a long time, which is not the case anymore. There are very good events in San Antonio now, including Alamo City Comic Con. Got very, very big. They got people like Arnold Schwarzenegger to be a guest, and he does not guest at anything.
Right.
Super shocking. But then also Rob Schneider. So I don't entirely understand the correlation, but all right, that's still cool. It's still really, really cool. But for a long time, San Antonio, you're planning to drive 3 to 5 hours to get to a really cool event. So there's always just this hub of people that you see them over and over and over again at all of these various events, whereas I feel like I'm out here in SoCal and I can go to a whole bunch of events and never see the same people twice, because there's just so many people. But you just grew to knew tons of people, especially 10 years ago, I guess, within Texas. And like they'll be from everywhere across Texas, hours apart, but you'll always see them again in the same spots in these same couple of cities.
Gotcha. Got to take a quick moment here to shout out a couple of the people that have joined us. I do see Larnie Barcelon, who says, "What's up, losers?" Edgar Hernandez and Terrence Pryor are watching. Terrence Pryor giving you a shout out. Ah, yes, conventions. Nicolai Suave is in here. Greg Hammer, a.k.a. The Hammer, says, "Hello, everyone." Also,
winner of our last week's giveaway.
That's right. Angela Rivera, Antonio DeCosta, Alyssa Miller, Lionel Ruff, Rob Armadas, the producer, Rob Armadas is in here. So is Keith Winrow. In fact, Keith Winrow does have a question specifically for Shelby. Shelby, how did you survive growing up in Maine, considering how many cities are besieged by monstrous entities?
This isn't the first time I've been asked this, actually.
What?
Yeah, and it's a big thing. So Maine conventions are super hard in Maine, and in East Coast in general, not especially hard, but it's cold on the East Coast. All Stephen King jokes aside, there's a lot of we're afraid of the cold. We can handle it. We can handle the clown. We can handle I can't think of. There was a cell phone one. I can't think of now that I'm on the spot. I can't think of the Stephen King novels.
Yeah.
Christine the Car. Yeah.
There you go.
We grew up with horror movies, so nothing fazed you if you grew up having to read Stephen King in high school, mandatory literature. So but I remember Rhode Island Comic Con is a really, really fun con, but it is jam packed with celebrities. The year that Stranger Things was big, they had a couple of the stars there. So
that was super cool.
Yeah, that was super cool. It's very, very, but Rhode Island Comic Con is during the colder months. So the line to get in, no exaggeration, and lines are part of cons, are part of life. I went with my friend who's gone to the Anime Expo. The line to get into Rhode Island Comic Con was the same length as the line to get into Anime Expo.
Oh my god!
Wow. It was freezing and there was ice, and we were both dressed as the Bombshell, Supergirl, and Batwoman.
Oh my gosh!
Wow.
So that's my experience. It's cold. It's going to be cold no matter what month. In Maine, it's cold in the summer. Winter here is summer in Maine, basically. So you're going to bring your modest kind of warmer cosplays no matter what. But Portland, Maine, and there's Animaine. Maine,
what a clever name.
Yeah,
right? It's really cute. Not gonna lie.
It's adorable. Maine conventions are so adorable, and everyone is so excited to be there. So I really there's a lot of camaraderie with Maine conventions. But Anime Boston is a really great con too. It definitely rivals cons all over the country. I'm a big fan of Anime Boston, and they're bringing Miyavi this year, actually.
Oh man, that's super exciting.
Yes.
Yeah, they always have a really cool concert. Last year it was Flow. 1 year it was Alley Project, and I was there for that, and it was really cool. So I'm really impressed by Anime Boston, keeping music as part of their con, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
Right on. Larnie Barcelon is actually chiming in to your point, MarzGurl, where she's where you mentioned that with all the conventions you might not see all of the same people at them. Larnie's experience is a little different.
Sure.
She runs into the same 20 people at every con.
Oh well.
Granted, Larnie's SoCal, and we all tend to go to all the same conventions because they all happen to be in the same pocket area.
I do feel sure, after a certain amount of time, I'm sure you realize, okay, this is my group of people that I like to see all the time, and you realize, hey, I know you.
Right.
And you just point at each other from across the room like the Spider-Man meme.
Hey!
Especially if you're dressed as the same character.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Or if you...
Lucky I did not wear... I have this dress... The same dress that you have, which I love, the same Captain Marvel dress. Glad I did not choose to wear that because somebody would have had to go home and change, and we would have been doing this.
I don't know.
Spider-Man point.
I could have worn a DC Shazam outfit.
Or you could have worn the same Captain Marvel dress.
I could have.
You could have.
Yeah, it would have been great. Would have been a little tight around the midsection, but it's fine.
Very lady beard.
Yeah, right? Frank Barra chiming in. By the way, hello to Frank Barra and John Hagen in the chat. Frank Barra chimes in, for every con you attend, your liver loses 1 year of its life.
I am not a drinker, so I am the only person this might not apply to, but I understand because I get invited to room parties constantly.
Okay.
I get somebody who invites me in, and they're like, hey, how's it going? Here, have the absinthe. Oh, all right, hold on. No, I'll just watch you. It's fine.
We're going to live vicariously through...
yeah.
It's definitely become... There's a nerdy Coachella aspect to hotel cons, really. Because even if you don't go to drink, you can still, hang out with a ton of people in your own, weird mini society for 3 whole days. You created a society that, starts and ends. It starts on Friday, it ends on Sunday afternoon. And I know one friend... I was at KatsuCon actually, and I ran into one of my really good friends from college, and he pulled me aside. He's like, "Oh yeah, like how are you?" Blah blah blah. We were talking, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I don't even watch anime anymore.
Oh no,
I just come here to be social." So he goes to he goes to a bunch of cons all over the East Coast just to get a room with friends and hang out.
To a point, I understand it. Sometimes I don't. It depends on exactly what you're there for. I think if you know that all kinds of different friends who are coming in from out of the city, right? If they're coming from different cities and you know they're all going to be in one place together, perfect, absolutely. Get that room and do that. But I've also had the experience of people who come to a con, they don't really know anybody, and then they don't go out, they don't experience what the con has to offer as far as events or cosplay or gaming or panels or any of that, and they just stay in the room and they'll drink and they'll play their own games in the room on the hotel room TV, and I don't understand that part. If that's what they want to do, okay, I don't understand, but they're allowed.
I've been all of these people. Yeah. I have been all these people. Like at Anime Los Angeles, sometimes my friends book Sunday night, so they don't have to rush to go home, and like they can stay till the end. Yeah, they book Sunday night. So on Sunday night, instead of going to the con, we hang out. We watch Bang Dream. We play Jack in the Box.
Jackbox.
Jackbox.
Yeah.
Jackbox games.
Jackbox games.
Jackbox games are amazing.
Yes.
I love T-Fury. T-Fury is one of my favorite,
fun.
and just invent T-shirts and mix and match, and you can buy the shirts later after the fact. Those are great.
I did that for Anime Expo. My friend, I had worn all my clothes. My last day, I'm like, I'm not really feeling like enthusiastic about being at a con, and my friend had a shirt with Lukoa from Dragon Maid drawn on it with the words post-con depression under it. And he's like, just take this. And I left with like his extra large shirt. And we'd walk around, everyone's like, that's a great shirt. I love it.
No worries. Post-con depression's a real thing.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Super real thing.
Chiming into the chat. Before we do that, I just want to give a quick shout out to, again, everybody here joining us. Again, you guys are watching Relentless Weeb, your one-stop shop for all topics anime. It's here where you learn about kawaii philosophy and all things associated with it. We're your hosts, Shelby McWeeb and Andrew J. Landy, and our guest for this evening. Give it up, everybody, for the MarzGurl herself.
Thank you again.
Yes. So again, folks, if you haven't done so already, make sure you've shared out the stream, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, any sort of social media. I do want to give also a big thank you to Anime Impulse for helping us out, putting us up. Again, you guys have heard us talk about Anime Impulse, such a wonderful convention. They've got a couple of events coming up, which we'll talk about in the minutes to come. So again, folks, make sure if you're not following Anime Impulse, make sure to do that. So you can find them on Facebook, on Instagram, even on Twitter as well. They've got a lot of stuff. Anime Impulse, type it in, you guys should find it. Google it anywhere. Huge also shout outs to a couple of the people that are joining in here. Minx Midnight is joined in. By the way, Luke Palmer has joined in and says, so there's this web series.
Too Kawaii for Comfort. That's a fun web series. Also, Midnight Shinigami. That's a great band.
Indeed.
So much great content creators in this chat right now.
That's awesome. Yeah.
We have Allison Mako who's chiming in. Thank you, Allison, by the way. Says, I only go to cons anymore to see my friends, particularly one who's engaged to a voice actor, and I only ever really get to see at cons anymore. So it's like, echoing that point where the convention scene, no matter where you are, it becomes this giant reunion of sorts because you all have this uniting factor about you. We're all from so many different facets and hills and things in life, but the one thing we can all agree on is we all love this weird thing called anime. These Japanese cartoons that
Thanks,
are
Dad.
Yeah,
and everything kind of tangentially connected to it. Gaming, other nerd culture, comic culture.
This is very true.
Very anything that's tangentially like sci-fi, any of that, all of it kind of conglomerates together in an anime convention experience. While it's mostly anime, you'll get a little bit of everything. I think that's what's so great about it. And I think too, as you get older, your need for conventions and your experience with conventions kind of starts to change. Some people are going to experience burnout after a while.
This is very true.
But then those same people might be like, you know what? It's been a little while since I experienced that burnout. Let me go back and try again. And you find out you experience a con in a totally different way than you used to. Like you might have. I remember my first convention. It was 2004.
Okay.
And I stayed up 72 hours, like the course of the whole event. I was 18, and that was the kind of energy an 18-year-old has. Like, I'm gonna down all this Red Bull, and I'm gonna stay up all night. night, and I'm not gonna change clothes. No, that's not true.
Oh god. Oh god.
That's not true. I totally changed clothes, I swear.
Yeah.
But
we make jokes here.
Yeah.
because some people do not change clothes.
Mm-hmm.
They don't. They stay in their kigurumis.
I have.
all
I've done
weekend.
that before.
So, I mean, and especially when you're younger, you just think, I'm just going to go hard the whole weekend. And then, and you're cool with things like sleeping 8 or 9 people to a room with bodies just all over the floor. Like, you don't think about it when you're younger. And then as you get older, you're like, nah, man, I need a whole bed to myself.
The space needs when you get older are a huge reality. I'm not gonna gotta agree with you on that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have to ask, since you brought it up, is 8 or 9 the most you've ever had to squeeze into a room, or to be aim a little lower? What's the most people?
I'm not at liberty to say.
I'm going to say like 12.
You done 12.
I might have put 12 people in a room.
And we're talking, and folks, we're not talking like bigger suites. We're talking.
Yeah,
like
we're talking 2 twin bed suites, right?
Oh, geez.
So we're talking people are sleeping in the tub, they're sleeping under the sink, they're sleeping in the closet, they're sleeping between the 2 beds, they're sleeping between the bed and the wall where the air conditioning unit is. They're sleeping between the bed and the other wall that's joined up next to the bedroom.
Yeah.
Like they're everywhere. Just like you'd think that we were gonna start harvesting these bodies for some other nefarious purpose, but no, just a bunch
Everyone's
of nerds.
alive.
Just a bunch of nerds that only wanted to pay like $35 to stay in a hotel room. That's the only reason why you do that.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Let's see here. Jumping into the chat, we Mandy chiming in, going into a convention long enough to remember that sometimes crowds, though, can be a little uncomfortable, especially for those who may have anxiety.
Oh, I know that for sure. Anime Expo especially has been, I went, when was my first AX? First AX was what, 2010 or something, I want to say. So long enough ago that it was busy, but I also went last year, and last year was terrifying. Ooh, last year was like, I am shocked at that fire code was not something that got implemented. I was almost having this panic attack of not being able to walk through this one particular corridor.
You're thinking what if I remember correctly, it's that corridor in West Hall.
What was your first Anime Expo, Andy?
Mine was actually Anime Expo 2005, back when it was in Anaheim. So some people in the community now consider me kind of an OG, but to me, I'm still fairly new because I know people that have been going to Anime Expo since it was back in NorCal, apparently. Way back in the days. A lot of people actually only know Anime Expo for their days at the LA Convention Center. Not many people know that for 2007 it was in Long Beach.
Yeah.
And before that again at the Anaheim Convention Center. But again, my first one, Anime Expo 2005. I was a big anime fan, but I really went there for a greater purpose, and it was actually Initial D.
Oh yeah.
So I was that gamer idiot that was like, I'm gonna play against everybody because there's probably gonna be a lot of gamers there, and I happened to be on a very strong Initial D team, and I wanted to compete, and it also happened to be my birthday weekend.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and all my friends ditched me on my birthday to go play Initial D off-site. So I'm not gonna talk about that because it was a very sad moment until 9 p.m. on my birthday when one of my friends found me in the arcade at AX alone. Like, dude, what are you doing, man? It's your birthday. Like,
it's where you want to be, though. It's like
yeah, but you know what? I haven't given it up. Like, unlike contrary to a lot of what other people have experienced, I never got that burnout from conventions. But I think part of it was because I fell into the whole world of staffing and volunteering my time.
Sure.
Because you get the people that are they want to contribute, and they're not content with just sitting at the panel. They'd rather be the ones in charge of like on the panel, or the ones helping run the panel. And that's how I got started. Like, Anime Expo 07, I volunteered for the first time, and it started this chain of events that invariably led me to emceeing events now, and invariably led me to here, Relentless Weeb.
I think it's important to it's so cool. I think it's important that everyone volunteer for a con at least once.
Yes.
So you get that experience,
Yes.
and you understand exactly what it is that a con has to do in order to put on such a fairly extravagant independent show made now almost entirely up of volunteers in most cases. I did volunteer a couple of times as well, and then it got to a point where I was doing stuff on the internet, and I could no longer like do my job at a con because people wanted to stop me from time to time, so I couldn't do that anymore. So I've seen a lot of angles of a convention, which I think a lot of people might not have the ability to see, but definitely volunteer at some point, because just you'll get that appreciation that you don't get otherwise. Plus, they'll comp your badge.
Yes,
I mean, that's pretty good too.
As long as you put the work in, yes.
Yeah, don't ditch out, or else
please.
that'll get you banned from your event.
Yeah, for not just that year, probably for other years to come.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm the outlier for Anime Expo because my first Anime Expo, I think, was 2014.
Oh wow, okay.
And I had just moved here, and I moved like kind of directly from Maine, and I've loved anime so much my whole life, and it was just really overwhelming being around. Like I never got the chance to be around so many people who loved anime at once, and I really, really, really enjoyed it. It made me really happy, and I haven't really got, every year I go back, there's something new, something fun, something new to fall in love with about anime. I always find a new thing to fall in love with. Last year it was music. I wasn't really super into anime music before Anime Expo last year, and then I went to all the concerts, almost all the concerts. I don't have that much. I mean, I don't have that much. I mean, there's so many. You can't see everything at once at AX. It's like Disneyland.
You really
have to
can't.
I was literally just thinking that. Like, it's like,
but you bring up concerts, and you brought up Initial D. One year in Houston, there was an event that had Move. I was thrilled. I was so psyched because I love Move. To an extent, I love Initial D, and I love Eurobeat.
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 Yes.
I've never, even though Eurobeat is practically dead, I've never let it drop.
Yeah.
I'll drive up and down these freeways just blasting Eurobeat, and I'm like, I'm pretending I know how to drift. I specifically went out to a place in Riverside to take a ride along in a drifting experience while I put headphones in and I let Eurobeat blast in my headphones. My heart was pounding. It's amazing. Absolutely. But no, seeing Move at this event in Houston, which and we were talking a little bit earlier about how in Texas, after a certain point, there would sometimes be cons that were competing for the same weekend, and it was like, Move is at this one.
Yeah,
that sold me as to which con I was going to go to.
Yeah.
Oh
amazing.
gosh. Yeah. Okay. Question actually was directed to both Shelby and I, but I'm going to actually pose this to everybody. For all of us, Keith Withrow asks, how did we all get into nerdy things? So, I mean, it's a loaded question. Don't got to get
hard. There's no, you can't pinpoint it.
Because nerdy stuff, I feel like, especially now, is much more mainstream than it once was.
Oh my gosh!
I think there's this stereotype still to this day for people who just aren't nerds, who think that nerds are like the glasses-wearing pocket protector kind of like, I'm not a nerd, but
2009 was a weird year.
It was.
It was a weird year.
The hipster Hello Kitties with the mustache and the glasses.
Yeah.
I remember that very, very much. There's still nerd Halloween costumes, and I'm like, nobody looks like this. This is a 50-year-old stereotype at least. This is terrible. But no, I think like my parents were gamers before I was. They bought a ColecoVision before I was born. So my first console was the ColecoVision. And, like, my dad was a gamer until my mom made him stop being a gamer. But then I kind of developed it, so that made her a little sad.
Way to handle.
Yeah, I took it, Dad. It's all right. I got this.
Nice.
So that's kind of where anime spun off of me loving games first, I think.
Okay.
So, yeah, just I think gaming was always with me as a little kid, and then as I became a tween into a teenager, then anime kicked in.
Okay. Gotcha.
I think specifically, I remember like the transition was I was a nerd and I just wasn't making any friends. In Maine, that's really much hard. No, it's hard everywhere, but in Maine, you've got like 20 kids you can be friends with, and if you don't like what they like, then you can't really go find people who like what you like as easy. And I was pretty far off from other kids, like in terms of my house.
Same for the Texas Hill Country where I grew up. It's very, very similar. No, I had no friends in the neighborhood. No friends in the neighborhood, just because the distance. You're absolutely right. The distance between people.
Right.
You know that scene in Toy Story where like it's Toy Story 2 when Jesse's owner, like no spoilers. I'm sure you've all seen Toy Story 2.
The statute of limitations is gone.
We're up to 4 now. Come on, people.
So when she like takes on all the cowboy stuff and she puts up all the like the pop 70s stuff, like the cool stuff.
Yeah.
I had to do that to make friends. I had to immediately drop everything like childish or whatever and immediately go only watch MTV until like I could make friends.
Oh,
okay.
no.
And I made friends and I hated them.
Oh no!
I didn't hate them, but it was like, this isn't for me.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, I understand.
I walked to GameStop. I bought a used copy of Pokemon Diamond, and started watching anime in 3 parts on YouTube.
Nice.
So
yeah, back when they
Oh,
could
right,
only
we
do
did
the
do it.
10-minute uploads.
Right,
Yeah.
Don't arrest me. Sailor Moon, and then Tokyo Mew Mew, Read or Die, and the series Read or Die TV, and Higurashi no Nakukoroni.
Wow.
It was a weird jump. I don't know what happened.
Calling it back to the time when, like anime was put on YouTube and then 8-minute snippets because the episodes were like 24 minutes long. So you had to watch part 1 of 3, part 2 of 3, part 3. Wow.
Exactly,
Classic.
yeah. And then the other people who are like, well, I'm going to just direct download this from peer-to-peer servers and torrenting, you get these really crappy encodes that like you can't even really see. Yeah.
But myself, my own journey for being a nerd, like MarzGurl, started through gaming because I started with the NES, watching my brother play Zelda and Mario, and then of course when we got our Sega, I got to play Street Fighter, and I never stopped playing Street Fighter, and invariably all the nerdy stuff led me to diving more into it. Again, I was that weird kid who didn't really agree with a lot of what other kids were getting into. I just really loved the nerdy stuff, but it never left me. But staying with it led me to the convention scene. It led me to competitive gaming, and the great thing is it of course leads to opportunities. Like for example, Greg Hammer chiming in the chat, MarzGurl says, Greg says, I just watched your YouTube channel, which by the way, congratulations.
Thank you.
Which you danced celebrating your 10,000 followers. Now the question here is, any plans what you will do when you reach 20,000?
Oh, because we're at 18,000 right now, and I'm admittedly going slow, but I've got no idea. I do need to do something really special, because I felt like, man, the 10,000 kind of crept up on me.
Right.
It took me a long time. I'm not nearly as fast a grower as a lot of other people that I worked on YouTube with for a long time, and I'm super proud of those people, the people that just took way off past me, but I'm very thankful for the people that I have had for over 10 years. Man, I need to plan something way better than just being an idiot around WonderCon, kicking my feet like a moron. No, something more special. Give me some input. What you think I should be doing? I will totally take some advice.
Okay, right on. So, folks, you heard it in the chat. If you've got advice for what MarzGurl should do at 20,000 followers, please put it in the chat. We'll be feeding those. We'll be feeding the suggestions to MarzGurl. Whether they get used or not is totally up to MarzGurl's discretion. We'll see. But folks, in the meantime, again, thank you for joining us here for Relentless Weeb. Your host Shelby McWeeb, Andrew J. Landy, our guest for this evening, MarzGurl. Folks, going to take a quick moment to plug out one of the upcoming events. So we've all been talking about Anime Expo, correct? Anime Impulse helped out with this. They had this big event this last Halloween called Insanime. It was a kind of a club event, club atmosphere, where they did have a dance floor, obviously, for those who could partake in alcohol. They did have alcohol, but they also had photo areas and, of course, gaming as well. I believe at that event they had it was when Boku no Hero, the game, had actually just released. So I understand now that Anime Impulse is now bringing out another Insanime event. They're trying to get that off the ground. That's actually going to happen. We're looking for it to happen July 4th, believe it or not. That's going to be happening right around AX time, Thursday, July 4th. So, folks, if they do need a little, they're looking for a little bit of support, as far as I understand. If you look up Insanime on Kickstarter, that's where you want to go. Give these guys all the support you can. I went to the Insanime event last year during Halloween. It was a phenomenal event. It was great. There was a lot of dancing, a lot of gaming, a lot of photos taken, and above all, it's just a great time. So
really fun.
So what you can do, folks, again, look up Insanime on Kickstarter. That's Insanime, and basically take your July 4th, watch some fireworks, and then celebrate the evening with your great anime friends. There's a lot of people, met a lot of great new people there. So can't say it enough, guys. Give this Kickstarter some support. Insanime. Look it up. You will not regret it. It's going to be an awesome time.
It's definitely I've never thought I could say, oh, this is one of the best anime net clip experiences I've ever had, but yeah, it is.
Not going to lie. It led to some great opportunities too. So
running the gambit.
Exactly. So, by the way, joining in. I know I saw a couple of people jump in here. Christine Shop was watching here. Abba Aldaba, my cousin-in-law, actually is watching. And Jose Shady Solis is watching what's going on to everybody here. So Keith Withrow chiming in. Keith, very, very vocal tonight. Thank you so much for that. And again, folks, we want to hear from you guys too. This is an interactive show. So if you have questions that you'd like to pose to any of us on the panel, please feel free. Keith Withrow says, going from Senshi, I guess in regards to our previous conversation about what got us in, going from Senshi to a show about murder.
Higurashi.
Not worrying at all.
Ooh, yeah.
Speaking of which, the creator will actually be at SakuraCon this April 20th.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
There's going to be a lot of conventions, a lot of really great guests. There's, I think, about 4 conventions on April 20th.
Oh, my gosh.
Anime Pasadena with a really great guests like Robbie Damon, Matt Middleton, I think. Plenty of people, the voice of Donald, and there'll be Yaoi Expo, which always sounds like a good time. It's going to be a first-year con, but it's going to be really fun. SakuraCon, which is going to be a lot of really great guests, really fun guests, and there's going to be Anime Boston the same weekend, which has Miyavi and a ton of other great guests. Everyone's doing a great job on April 20th. You've got to have somewhere to be then.
Right. That is, by the way, that is Easter weekend, so...
A lot of choices that weekend.
Yeah, a lot of choices.
Yeah.
Very good stuff. I honestly don't even know where I'll be that weekend. There's so much going on.
So many good choices.
Indeed. So Jose Dominguez Jr. is watching. Thank you so much for joining us, Jose. Oh gosh, we could talk so much about just our weird convention experiences.
If you could go to any convention, what would you go first?
Yeah.
Okay. If any con like I've not been
to
in this country that I've not been to yet.
Yeah. Good call.
Anime Boston's a good one. What used to take place in what's another East Coast one that's really big and now I'm blanking on the name? Otakon. I've never gone to Otakon, and everyone has always said go to Otakon, and now they've moved it out from where it once was. It's in a new city, as far as I understand. But Otakon, as far as I understood, also had great musical guests almost all the time. I would love to go for their musical guests. Absolutely.
Yeah. Is there a favorite con? What's one of your favorite cons anywhere in the country?
One con I really feel at home at was OniCon, which is a Houston area. They're in Galveston now, so they're right on the coast. They're right, like you can step outside and you see the ocean, the Gulf Coast. Gulf Coast isn't quite as pretty as the Pacific Coast, but but it makes for some really good cosplay opportunities. There were 3 years in a row where Final Fantasy composer Nobuo Uematsu, he brought his band, the Earthbound Papas.
That's amazing.
He used to have the Black Mages, that was his rock band, and then like 3 of those same band members just made basically the exact same band and called it the Earthbound Papas, which was more intended so that Nobuo could play other of his original music, not just Final Fantasy music, other stuff that he's composed for outside of Final Fantasy. Saw them at concert 3 times, met Nobuo there and got to speak with him for just a little bit. Like, what a happy dude. But that it's gotten big-ish, but not so big that it's too difficult for anybody to manage or navigate or anything. OniCon feels like home to me.
Okay. Right on. Shabby, I'm going to pose that question to you. If there's a convention you can go to, where do you go?
I mean, I'm always really partial to AX, but I'm going to throw in Anime NYC as I've been here, and it's really great because Anime NYC is a second-year con. It's going to be third year, but it was so much fun, so many great guests, a really, just being in Times Square and going to an anime convention, that was the easiest walk in full costume I've ever had, was in Times Square.
I would love to have that experience.
Because everyone's dressed up.
Okay.
and I have to imagine nobody is looking at all these people and going, oh, this is strange. Like, it sounds like that is a location where you're just like, no, this is appropriate here to see this out on the corner and stuff. Just so many people dressed up.
Yeah. I was Panther from Persona 5, and anywhere else that would be like the worst walk, but I blended in.
Yeah, it was just like, all right, it's another day, right?
Yeah.
So,
my con I've never been to before, I think I would say Otakon too, but you already picked that. Well, not that you already picked that one.
No, there's nothing wrong with having the same one. Yeah.
I would want to do. I would want to do any convention. What's the biggest convention in Texas?
Biggest one. Anime Matsuri. A-Con has been very, very big, but this next year they're doing it like all outside or something.
I heard about that, yeah.
I don't know much about
that.
San Japan is in San Antonio. It's not an anime con, but Alamo City Comic Con is very big in San Antonio.
Right.
And of course, it's got its anime pocket of people
right.
too. So, I would suggest Alamo City Comic Con.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I definitely want to go to any Southern con. That's the only place I haven't been is anywhere in the South.
So jealous. I think, if I'm going to pick one, first of all, giving a huge shout out to my buddy DJ Vest, one of my fighting game players. Thanks for joining us, by the way. Also, Michael Ahern has just joined us. Thanks again, Michael, for joining us here on Relentless Sweep. If I'm going to pick any convention, you picked Anime NYC is the one that I haven't been to that I'd want to go to because I just heard so much fun stuff about it.
Yeah.
One convention I could go back to is Anime Central over in
ASIN, yeah.
Oh, I changed it to ASIN. I switched.
I've had so many people who live up in that area say, why haven't you gone to ASIN yet? And I haven't done it. I regret it. I haven't been just yet.
One of the huge things I loved about ASIN was their huge music scene.
Yes.
So I know a couple of the DJs that are my friends out here, they actually get all their gear and they road trip up to Chicago.
From here?
They've done, yeah, they do it. It's like
that's amazing.
But they bring the noise. So fun fact, the first so ASIN 2010 was actually the first time I'd ever done a masquerade. Like, my friends in Chicago were like, hey, dude, we need you for this. We'll fly you out. I was like, free trip? Cool. So they brought me out there. Great guys, by the way. They brought me into their masquerade skit. And then, of course, we didn't win much of anything because we hastily put everything together. But I saw after the masquerade, and, that was the year, like, they teased Yoshiki being accessible via satellite, only for him to appear on stage.
Wow, that's super cool.
Because that was a year like X Japan was really making their way into the American market. X Japan, one of the notable bands from Japan, by the way. You guys are classic. But yeah, I got to see what they did afterwards. They turned the entire main hall into like the dance area, and they had just like 10 DJs all from all over the world. It was mind-blowing to see the production value there, and that's just the music alone. Like, the community was great, got to see a lot of people. The hotel was just magnificent. It was everything was contained, and just had such a great time.
That's amazing. Yeah. I'm so used to, especially out of Texas cons, the dances, there being like the one DJ, and it doesn't bring a very big crowd. You see like the pockets of like 3 people on this side of the room in the front, and they're having a good time. Yeah, good for them. But you wish there were more people in there. But that experience sounds phenomenal.
Anime raves are my favorite because I've been to ones where there's like 3 people over there, 3 people over there, they're all dancing themselves, or one where it's a huge crowd, everyone's dancing, and there's always the staples, which is there's always one Luigi like swinging those lights. There's always one Luigi.
Always one.
It's not the same Luigi. I know they're all different people. I've gone Oregon, California, Boston. There's always one Luigi who's just hustling by himself.
So
I'm happy
he's
for him.
happy.
Yeah,
he's living his best life right now.
You should be like Luigi. I know I should.
Are you sure he's happy, or does he have that like murder face?
No, he's good. He's
good.
happy.
Okay, he's good.
He's having the year of Luigi. Yeah,
Every year has been the year of Luigi, and there's always like the teens like this is their first like dance away from like chaperones. They're like doing their teenage dancing, and it's like,
but they're doing it as hard as they possibly can. They're so happy.
It's like their chance to like let loose amongst like-minded people. There's no problem. So it's a great time.
I'm always like, you know what, you go, and then there's always like the cosplayers who are like in full cosplay, and then they take everything off and they're in their like rave versions of their cosplay. So they're in a lace front and like gold booty shorts and like a crop top.
Yeah.
And then they're just having fun, and that's always what it is, no matter what. It's the same. Like that's the
that is actually, I would say that's one of the few things that's like that stays true across the whole country. That translates across the entire country. Is what the nighttime DJ rave at an anime con looks like.
Yeah, you never go wrong with it. You are totally right. That's like one great uniter. So
also the anime music industry for DJs has been booming a lot more.
Yeah, see, when I was much younger, I was really regretting that Anison, anime song. It was just like, I'd go to a dance and I'd be like, I'm at an anime con, where's the anime music playing? And it just wasn't. And I'm really glad to see that it's been picking up recently.
Okay. Right on. Keith Withrow, by the way, says off to sleep now, so hope the three of us have a good remainder of the evening / night.
Thanks, Keith.
Good night,
Sleep tight, friend.
Okay, Terrence Pryor chimed in with the favorite con / con they would love to be at. Says Anime NYC is a great con, first of all, and also loves Anime Next in Atlantic City.
Atlanta is also a place I hear has really good conventions. I think one of the best parts of being born in this horrifying time where you were born alongside phones and they grew along with you. And here we are now.
Yeah.
Like horrifying but wonderful. I have an Instagram and I have met so many people who just cosplay the same thing as me. There's an underground Sailor Venus network of support and friendship, if that makes sense.
Really?
I follow a lot of other Sailor Venuses.
That is such a relief because I know, in the mid 2000s, it was like if there's another Sailor Venus.
Oh my God. Yeah, it was like territorial. Like you're not allowed to be my character. Like I'm the real one. You're just a pony fake.
And now, I absolutely have regularly seen, and especially as the Marvel Cinematic Universe has gotten big, I see a lot of people supporting each other with Marvel characters. Are you gonna do an Iron Man? Tell me your tips and tricks for how you did Iron Man. Yeah, Iron Man.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Shout out to Vegan Spider-Man who just hangs out with only other Spider-Men all day, every day, in big groups and videotapes it.
Well, now that we are in the year of the Spider-Sona,
oh gosh,
I think that is absolutely appropriate to just hang out with a bunch of other Spider-Mans, and you can be any Spider-Man because there's so many Spider-Mans. So why not?
Yeah, right. You get your pick.
A ton of OCs too. There was, I think 2014 was the year of the spider suit OC because that was when it was more acceptable to customize your own Zentai suit, and there was a Diva Spider-Man. There was a lot of Spider-Man.
It's just been a fantastic boom of it since Into the Spider-Verse too. Because of Into the Spider-Verse, that popularity of your OC Spider-Sona just exploded this past year in the last few months.
Well, Mandy Akendo chimes in, says, I have that with Fujiko cosplayers. Fujiko from Lupin the Third.
Yeah.
It helps that there are about 30 different character designs, so we can all do something different.
And she'll dress as anything in order to fulfill her mission of whatever she's trying to accomplish. So, everybody can look different and still be the same character.
Oh, yeah.
It's the same character that you can all agree, we all love this character. Why should we bicker over being this character? Yeah.
Why are we fighting over a character that we didn't even create?
Right.
It's like One Piece, with how many variations they got and how many episodes they've got.
No matter what state I'm in, I do have a mutual, if that makes sense. There's a Sailor Venus in the South, a Sailor Venus in Seattle area.
Oh, that's cool.
East Coast Sailor Venus, and we're just always there for every type of Sailor Venus we do. And even Love Live, everyone's cosplayed Love Live once sometimes.
I would like to at one point, and I still have not.
Uh-oh. Well, I mean, you got a specialist here who might be able to help you out with that.
That would be so cool. I don't know. I don't know if I want to be an Aquas or if I want to be a... I don't know. I've got so many...
Do you have a best girl?
I don't know.
Do you have a top 3 best girls? Because I don't have a best girl at the top 3.
I don't know if I can best girl. I think everybody to an extent loves Nico, but I don't know if she's my best or not. I don't know.
I think of her as the salt in the recipe of Love Live. Not going for the obvious joke of I'm salty, I'm Nico. But I feel like it's a necessary to salt is so necessary to the recipe, and you put it on it after it's done, and it makes it really good. But if you just sat there eating salt by itself, you're disgusted.
I really enjoy Love Live because I think I got into it initially because of the mobile games. I'm a big rhythm gamer, and so tangentially, Bang Dream. I got really into Bang Dream, and then Ota. What is the men's version that's basically the exact same thing? Why am I blanking on the title of it? It's installed on my phone right now.
It's not Idolish, is it?
Idolish. Yeah, Idolish is the name of the group inside the anime.
Okay, I know that Arena character designed it, and she's my favorite. I know it's I know what you're. No, why
Chat.
did we both forget?
Chat, can you help us out
We're
here?
on
What is
air.
the name of this group that
Fine,
they're
I
speaking
know
of?
exactly what
I'll
you're
just
talking
look
about.
on my
Okay,
phone.
so you're gonna go to the phone. I mean, I was like, you should just do that from the get go. Why not?
I guess I should have.
Yeah.
My best girls are Hanaya, Ellie, Mari, and Daya. Kanon's 5th.
My best girl is Tosa Karin.
You can't use that for
Tosaka.
everything.
Oh,
I can.
Tosaka's
I
a
can
good
and I will.
choice, though. Tosaka's a very good choice.
Yes.
I'm not gonna...
See. Ugh. Speaking of
Uta
fate,
Pri. Uta no Prince Sama.
Utano Prince Sama.
Uta no Prince Sama. Okay.
Song of the Prince Sama. Prince Sama's songs. Yes, that's the general translation.
We're gonna go with something with Prince. And we're gonna go with that. By the way, Mandy Okendo says, Love Live group made up of leftover people who haven't been in Love Live groups. Sound the horns, make that a thing.
That's what everyone says when everyone starts. Like, Shelby, you cosplay with me? I'm like, I should just connect you guys. There's at least 9 of you. At least 18 of you, really.
At least 27 of you.
There's not that many idol. Oh, no, there are. Forget that. That makes me a fake nerd. Sorry. Take that back. Take that. There are 27. There are 27.
There's probably more that we don't even know about.
Oh, I'm sure. You can easily make your own Idol 48 group out of all of these people.
There's extra species in the ocean we haven't found yet.
Oh, yeah. All right. So, folks, we're sort of winding down towards the end of the show. We're not done yet, of course, but I do want to give each and every one of you a huge thank you for joining us here at Relentless Wave again. Your main stop, your one-stop shop for all things anime, all topics of the sort. It's here where you learn about the kawaii philosophy. Again, your hosts, Shelby McWeeb, Andrew J. Landy, our guest for this evening, MarzGurl. Again, folks, if you haven't shared out the stream, I know there's just a little bit of time left, but hey, do us a favor, sit down your next door neighbor, go beat up your greatest rival and force them to watch this because, hey, they need to be here learning about the wonder that is all the anime world and everything that is connected to it. So.
What did you guys name your rival in your first Pokemon game?
I don't remember. I think I left Gary as Gary.
Yeah,
I think I just left it the way it was.
Yeah, I went with Gary because I played it at the same time the anime had just come out, and I was like, oh, I want to really be Ash, and but I didn't want to be Ash. I wanted to be Andrew, so I named myself Andrew, and then I fought Gary, and I smoked him.
And you just came to really hate Gary, and thankfully, at least that's a fictional dude.
Yeah,
you're not like. I mean, granted, you could take out your aggression on a real person in a fictional place, and it's safe. It's totally safe, but screw Gary.
Yeah, screw Gary. What like out of curiosity, when you get a chance to like name your character, especially in Pokemon, may not have been the first name you chose, but what's the most like unique name you've seen or even used yourself to name yourself and your rival?
I just name myself after myself because I feel like I'm going to play this the way I feel like I, myself, would handle this scenario. So I very infrequently name my characters something other than myself, and that's super egotistical. Oh. But at the same time, I'm like, yeah, this is me, and I totally have a Pokemon.
Ah, nice.
I'm gross because ever since I was not consistently, but even when I could only play as like a guy, I would name mine as like I would name mine whatever girl name I had like a self-insert fanfic. Like if I made up stories or even fan fictions of real anime characters when I got older, I would always name it after my current OC or my current favorite anime character.
Okay,
that makes sense. This is why am I admitting this anyway? Why and then I would name the rival if it fit. The whatever boy name was my boy OC I had a crush on.
Okay.
Because
you're allowed.
Yeah, your game, right? Okay, right.
So that's where I would go. I would still like win and everything like that, but I would always like
I named, I don't know why, I started over a game of Pokemon Red, and this is before I got like my official Mew way back in the day when Nintendo was offering that. Back when there were only 151 Pokemon. But I once named myself Kent for some strange reason.
Kent.
It was like a very dashing name, and then I named my rival J.K. for I was
J.K. Rowling.
Yeah, I have
J.K. Just kidding.
Yeah, I have no idea. I couldn't explain it. I was a weird kid back then. But let's see here. So the chat chiming in actually. First of all, Terrence Pryor is saying thank you to all of us for being awesome people.
Thank
Terrence,
you.
You're awesome, by the way. Adam Fisher is saying I have 2 cousins named Gary in reference to our talking about beating Gary.
Are they?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I don't want to beat up your cousin. That's not,
right.
I'm sorry. It's fictional Gary.
It's just that Gary made of pixels.
Are they Gary on the same side or Gary on different sides?
Yeah,
because that
would actually be kind of cool.
Oh man, Gary versus Gary battle.
Oh my gosh.
You name yourself Gary and name your rival Gary. Oh, it's the most confusing rivalry.
It's like Highlander. There can be
Only one Gary.
Yeah, right. So Allison Mako, who by the way is also from Chicago and is a huge, very knowledgeable about ASM, by the way, talking about the music scene at ASM 2012, the line to get into the dance wrapped around the hotel.
That's amazing.
Just wanted to get that out there for how crazy ASM is with their music scene. Allison says, I don't remember what I named my rival, but I named myself Brian because the character was a boy and I felt weird using my own name. I was like 9 years old. So.
Yeah, like in Pokemon Yellow, Pokemon Blue, Pokemon Red, Pokemon Silver, and Pokemon Gold, you could only be a boy.
Oh.
Crystal was the first one you could be. You could choose a female character.
I was so excited.
Yeah,
Not gonna lie, I was so excited because otherwise I'll name my male characters like K because you can slide with that.
Yeah.
I typically do not go by a shortened K rather than Kaylin.
Right.
But I guess if I'm gonna have a male character, I'll call it K.
Okay.
It'll work.
Shelby's gender neutral, so like I was always good.
This is true.
Yeah, that's very true.
All right. Let's see. Mandy says, not the first time I played, but I did later name the character Stacy after my best friend, who was also the worst.
Oh,
Okay.
that's kind of nice in
Right.
its own way.
Shout out to Stacy.
Adam Fisher says, starting from Pokemon Black and White onwards, I named the character after the Red Rangers in Power Rangers.
Oh, very
Interesting.
cool.
Very good, very good. And let's see, Nicholas Bozenka, which, by the way, hello to Nicholas. Thanks for chiming in here. I could never use my name in Pokemon games because they only allowed 7 letters and my name is 8 letters.
Oh, so unfortunate.
Right?
Similarly, like I've played DDR competitively for a while.
Really?
And, like, as you used to put your name in the machine, and it only allowed 4 letters.
Right,
Like,
right.
oh, what do I do? So I used just Mars.
Mars, okay.
Instead of like MarzGurl. But eventually they got up to the release of DDR Supernova, and you could put 8 letters
Nice.
in. Yeah.
Nice.
Now I can put either my full real name or just full MarzGurl, whatever.
Yeah.
Yes, but 4 letters was very restricting.
Yeah, it is. Adam Fisher, by the way, chiming in, saying about the Gary question, different sides, and also one of them is named after his dad. So,
Aw.
so it's like,
Oh, that's nice. That's
the two differences.
sweet.
By the way, I do want to give a couple quick shout outs before we sort of wrap up the evening to Sammy Jane and Randy Ho. Thanks for tuning in here, folks. And again, Albert, I don't know if I got to you earlier, but again, thanks for joining here. So, folks, we're winding down towards the end of the show. Again, I want to give a huge, huge thank you to everybody who has joined us, even for a brief minute, or has stayed with us the entire broadcast. Again, you guys are the reason why we do this, because we love talking with you. We like finding out about your experiences are within this whole anime community, this whole thing that we just call anime. Let's be real.
I call it anime.
It's just the
It's
anime.
Japanimation, guys. welcome to the year 1994, and this is Japanimation.
Oh, jeez. All right, so before we go, I do want to give a quick plug again, folks. If you have not gotten a chance, make sure you like Relentless Weeb on Facebook.
We just made our own page. It's 6 likes now.
All right.
We made it was unpublished, so I had to publish it right before we went on. It's up to 6 now, so like hopefully it'll be 7 with your help.
That's a good start.
Yeah.
But Bombshell Media like that right now.
Yes, so Bombshell Media is where you guys are watching from. Make sure you've liked that. That way you get the updates on when we go live again. We go live every Tuesday at the 7:30 hour. Give or take a couple of minutes, because we like to make sure things are running a little smooth here. Again, also want to give another last plug to Insanime. Again, folks, look up Insanime on Kickstarter. That's going to be happening July 4th over at the Belasco in Los Angeles. That's around the time the Anime Expo is happening. Again, it's going to be a great night. There's a lot of fun stuff from music, gaming, If you are of age, there will be libations as well. That is alcohol. And above all, there'll be a lot of great people to just hang out with. What a great way to celebrate your July 4th, watching fireworks and then party it up with your great nerd friends as well.
Yeah.
So, all right. So,
anime.
Before we end, again, MarzGurl, got to give a huge shout out to you.
Thank you so much for
Thank
coming.
you. This has been an awesome experience. Really love talking with you guys. Really appreciate it.
Oh, of course, yeah. Before we end, we got to let the people know, where should they be following you?
MarzGurl anywhere, really.
MarzGurl, okay.
It's just Twitch, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all these different social medias. I very thankfully was able to grab the username MarzGurl, identical on every single one of those platforms.
Nicely done.
So you can find me on all those platforms just under MarzGurl.
And that's MarzGurl with a Z, correct?
MarzGurl with a Z and a weird U in the middle of the girl.
Okay.
Yeah. Stupid spelling, because I was a stupid 8th grader when I decided I need a name for chat rooms, and then I never changed it ever since that point.
Oh, jeez.
I haven't used my 8th grade chat room name in like years. I'm thinking of bringing it back now that I'm no longer ashamed of myself. Because one time I was like, my name's Shelby, and then I was so terrified because it was like 2006. I was like, the internet
People
knows my
should
name.
know your real name.
People can't know my real name. I was like, delete, but it was like archived forever. So I was like, I have to change my name. My username is not safe anymore. But now it doesn't. You can follow me at Shelby McWeeb on Twitter and Instagram.
And my name is Andrew J. Landy. You can follow me Instagram and Twitter at Andrew J. Landy. That's where we all are, folks. Make sure, folks, by the way, you followed Anime Impulse. Find their social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And, of course, make sure you check out the Insanime Kickstarter. Folks, this about wraps it up for this edition of Relentless Sleep. Again, thank you so much to everybody for joining.
Thank you so much for coming.
Yes.
Thank you.
We were happy to have you.
I'm so happy to be here. Thanks, guys.
All right, we'll see you next time for the next edition of Relentless Sleep. Take care and good night.
And